you can always just log out as root and then log in as the homework user, the user account that you'll be using for homework purposes. Do we have any questions about how to sign in again, but as the user that you'll be using for homework purposes? You got it?
It created a user with no password and no what do you call it, permissions at all. It can't even view its own folder.
Strange. And you're using add user.
Yeah.
And this is Ubuntu.
No, this is Fedora.
Oh, this is Fedora.
Yeah.
Okay, you must be using user add and not add user.
There's a difference.
It is different.
Okay.
See, add user is a Debian add-on on top of user add.
Okay.
And user add is a low-level utility that doesn't really do a whole lot of things interactively. So you have to use the command line to say dash blah 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 dash blah 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 to finish the whole thing.
Okay.
You can use a user del to delete the user, I think, and then you can start from scratch again. All right, so we are back here. So this is what you should be seeing when you sign in as the new user that you have created. We talked about this already. The prompt itself is useful because this part tells you who you are, okay? Which username you're signing in as. This part is not that useful for us, because this is the name of the host, the machine. It's not very useful as far as this class is concerned. This is the current working directory, otherwise known as either PWD or CWD. CWD for current working directory, and PWD stands for present, previous. I think it's present. Current, present, kind of the same thing. While in doubt, I can always say man print name of current working directory.
Print working directory.
Okay. So CWD is the name to refer to the current working directory. So right now I'm at the home directory, which is kind of analogous to the home directory in Windows, like the user directory. All right. So the next thing we have to do, according to this, is to create a new folder for our new homework assignment. So use mkdir, and the name has to be assignment1, okay? Because I will be grading this using a script to help me, so it is very important that you follow the names directly, and no deviation, okay? Because if you have any deviation, my script will have a hard time finding it, okay? So you gotta have the same name. Assignment1 is the name of the folder. And then we want to use CD, which stands for change directory, to go to assignment1. So now assignment1 is my current working directory. Do we have any questions up to this point? How many people have never seen this many command line interface commands up to this point? No? Okay, you guys are all comfortable with the CLI? Okay, very good. Okay, moving on to the third step. See, we're almost done here. Well, halfway done. Perform the typical steps of doing a homework assignment. And now I know we haven't really talked about how to do assembly language programming, so I'm going to give you the entire program. You just have to somehow get it into a text file. Create a program as indicated in the pink area. Type/copy this content into a file called asgn1.s. The pink area is all the way down here. Okay? You don't like the color pink?
No comment.
No comment. All right. What is blue after that? All right. So there are several ways to do this. You can copy and paste if you want to. If you're using the console in a virtual machine, you really cannot copy and paste easily, at least not in QEMU. In VMware or VirtualBox, you can probably copy and paste into the console. I'm not sure. Okay, I have not done it before. You can always just type the entire program. You can just go ahead and type it. It's not very long. Just go ahead and type it. So in this class, because I'm using a native Linux environment, I can do something that is a little bit easier. So in the browser, I right-click and select copy, and in the terminal, I would say cat greater than asgn1 dot lowercase s. Now, cat is a very simple program. Cat stands for concatenation, It takes all the input files, concatenate everything, and turn that into the output file. Since I did not specify any input file, it's going to use the keyboard or the console as the input. Since I did not specify any output file, it will send everything to standard out. But standard out in this case is redirected to ASGN1.S, so that means everything will be sent into that file. Right now the program is not broken, it's not hanging up, it's waiting for me to type something.
Oh, okay.
Whatever I type at this point will go into the file. But since I have already just copied the entire content of what I'm supposed to type, so right here, I can just go to Edit as a terminal and select Paste, and this is the entire program. So the next question is how to, yeah, go ahead.
If you type something and push backspace and standard out, how will that interpret in a file?
The input is what we call cooked. Okay, a cooked input means it will interpret backspace correctly to mean that you're erasing the previous character and then the previous one and then the previous one. Okay. In other words, you won't find the backspace character
ASCII
in the file.
Right.
Yep. All right, so we are done here. Okay, you press the Enter key. The next question is how do we get out? Control-C will get it out, but Control-C is not the right way to get out because Control-C is forcing the program to stop, which means the actual file may not have copied everything here. The proper way to get out from here is to press Control-D, which stands for End of File. Okay. Now this is going to be a useful technique because from time to time later on in this class, we will also write programs that will read something from standard in, and this is how you tell your program that we are ending the file right here. Okay, so Control-D is what you type on the keyboard to tell the, in this case, the cat program, the concatenation program, that we are ending this program. So as soon as you press Control-D, you will see the prompt back, and now you have the file already inputted. It's already here. So the next thing is, if you want to, you can use VI or Pico or Nano to double check that everything is in the file. So I personally like VI, so I use Vim, and the program is called ASGN1.S, and everything is here. And if I want to, I can actually just turn on syntax highlighting, which is kind of fancy, but in assembly language programming, I find it not very necessary to turn on syntax highlight.
How'd you do that?
Huh?
How'd you do that?
Syn on, colon, SYN space on. It only works in Vim, VIM. It doesn't work in VI.
Ooh.
Yeah, because VI is the plain vanilla one. It doesn't include syntax highlighting or all the other good stuff. All right, so I think it's good here. Okay, and then we use :X to get out of the file, and then continue on with the instruction. All right, so the rest of the instruction is running the commands that we have kind of talked about already. We are running AS for assembling. We are running ls-l just to make sure that we have an object file. If you see an error message, don't continue with further steps. Go back and fix the source file before you move on to additional steps. All right, so getting back to here, I use AS, G stabs -o, ASGN1.o, ASGN1.s. Okay, no assembly error. Do a ls-l. Double check that now we have two files. We have the source file, and then we have the object file. The next step is to use LD as the linker. So LD-O ASGN1, which creates the executable called ASGN1, and the input is ASGN1.o, which is the object file. Press the Enter key, no error. Do ls-l, making sure that now I have 3 files instead of 2. And you can see ASGN1 with no extension has a highlight of kind of neon green. It means it's an executable. You can actually run that file. Okay, to run the program, okay, the rest of the file or the rest of the instruction kind of keeps on going and say create a text file as indicated in the blue area. Okay, so we go to the blue area and create a new file, and we'll call that debug.gdb. Blue area is here. Select the whole thing, copy, go back here, use the same trick, cat greater than debug.gdb, and then edit paste. And remember, if you cannot get copy and paste to work, you can always just type it. Okay, these programs are not long at all, so typing is not out of the question. All right. So moving back to the instruction. All right, so now we are ready to debug the program. To debug the program, we run this command, gdb asgn1, and then redirect from debug.gdb. I might have made a mistake here, so we'll see. Okay, so gdb asgn1 less than debug.gdb, and it works. Okay, I did not make a mistake. Basically, what that file contains, the file called debug.gdb, those are the commands that you can otherwise type in the interactive mode when you're in GDB. I just put all those commands into a file and then use the redirect symbol and say, oh, okay, I can tell the debugger not to wait for interactive input, but to execute everything as specified in debug.gdb. So that may come in handy as a technique when you test your programs, because you may not want to just do everything by hand every single time, because it can get very tedious. Using this method, you create a debug file and you can run your program in debug mode and check everything automatically. So it's a kind of useful technique. But I'm really done with my homework now, as far as creating the files is concerned. So step 4 is to archive everything. To archive everything, you run this really obscure command. tar, tarczbf, tilde / assignment1.tar.gz -- C / backtake or backquote pwd backquote. Does anyone want me to explain it, or you guys just thinking, I don't care what it does, as long as it works, it's good. Okay, you guys want to find out what it does. All right, very good. Okay, so I'll explain it in 2 minutes. tar is the command that to create an archive. In fact, tar stands for tape archive. Okay, this is back in the good old days when we used tape. Tape, yes. And then C is create, so we are creating an archive. Z stands for the gzip compression algorithm. V stands for verify. And F is saying, okay, what is the name of the archive file? The name of the archive file is this bunch here. So whatever you specify after the F option has to be the name of the file that you're creating. Yep.
I thought V was verbose to show you what it's doing, not verify.
Verbose, you're right. Okay, it is verbose. It shows you the file, as they're being archived. Very good. Okay, so that's archive verbose and not verify. -C means we are changing the path before we archive it. This / it means the root of the entire file system. So together, this means I'm changing my point of view from the current working directory, the CWD, to the root folder of the entire file system. Backtake PWD. Okay, let's explain PWD first. PWD is print working directory. And you can test it, just by doing it here. PWD, it prints the absolute path to the current working directory. Okay, the backtake means the output of the command is not printed to the console. Instead, it becomes a part of the command that we are specifying. Okay, so this is the command that will work, regardless of your username and stuff like that, because the tilde symbol means the home directory. So